This is Unit 6.3, determining the equation of quadratic relations in vertex form. And we're also going to take a look at the bit of the relationship between vertex form, standard form, and factored form. All right, write the equation of each parabola with each set of properties. Right now we're just going to do it in vertex form. The vertex is at 5, 0. That means that h equals 5 and k equals 0. And it has the same shape as y equals x squared. That means that a must equal 1, because in y equals x squared, a equals 1. So that's going to be y equals 1x minus 5 squared, or just y equals x minus 5 squared. And that's it. That was an easy one. The vertex is at 3, 5, so h equals -3, k equals 5, and it opens upward, which means a has to be greater than 0, and it has to be wider than y equals x squared, so a has to be greater than 1. So you can pick any number you want as long as it's greater than 1. An example could be a is equal to 2. That will work. So y equals 2x plus 3 squared plus 5. Okay, the vertex is at -2, -3, so h equals -2, k equals -3, and it passes through -5, 6. Well, that's going to be our x and our y, and the a is what we don't know. So we know that the form of the equation, this is going to have the equation y equals some a value x plus 2 squared minus 3. We need to figure out a, but we know that when x equals -5, y has to equal 6 from this point on the parabola. We did these before, except we knew what the zeros were, and then we knew what a point on the parabola was. This time it's the vertex. So notice, when we know the vertex, we're going to use vertex form. When we knew the zeros, we used factored form, which is y equals a x minus r x minus s. So depending on the information that you know about the parabola, that tells you which form of the equation that you need to use. So when y equals 6, x equals -5. So 6 equals a times -3 squared minus 3. I don't have enough room. So 6 equals -3 squared is 9, so 9a minus 3. Bring the 3 over. That's going to be 9 equals 9a. Divide both sides by 9, and a will equal 1. So therefore, y equals x plus 2 squared minus 3 is the equation. You can put the 1 in there for a, but you don't have to. Okay, next one. You can try this one. Stop the video, try this one on your own, and then check to see that you're correct. So h equals -3, k equals 2, x and y. So y equals a x plus 3 squared plus 2. When y is 14, x is -1. So 14, that's going to be 2 squared plus 3. So 14 equals 4a plus 3. Subtract 3, so that's 11 equals 4a. Divide both sides by 4. And a equals 11 quarters. So therefore, y equals 11 quarters x plus 3 squared plus 2. Okay. All right, consider the parabola with equation y equals x squared minus 4x minus 5. Determine the coordinates of the vertex, then write the equation in vertex form. And finally, sketch the graph. So the only way we know right now to find the vertex is to factor it, average the factors. So two numbers that multiply to give you -5 and add to give you -4. I believe those two numbers are -5 and 1. So this is a simple trinomial that becomes x minus 5, x plus 1. So x equals 5 or x equals -1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5. Here's -1. Average those. So this is the h that we're actually trying to find. So the x, when we just called it x before. Now I'm going to call it h because it is the h coordinate of the vertex. It's the x coordinate of the vertex is h, right? So 5 minus 1 over 2, that equals 2. And the k coordinate is, substitute it back into the equation, doesn't matter which version. 2 minus 5 times 2 plus 1, which equals -3 times 3 is -9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is -9 right here. There's the point 2, -9. So vertex is at 2, -9. And the y-intercept is at -5. That's right there. And there's the graph of the parabola. All right. So far we have not written the equation in vertex form. Well, if I know the vertex is at 2, -9, the a value in standard form is equal to 1. So the a value is 1 no matter what form this is in. It's equal to 1 in standard form. It's equal to 1 in factored form. It's going to be equal to 1 in vertex form as well. So a equals 1, which means that this equation can also be written as x minus 2 squared minus 9. So there's 1, 2, 3 different forms of the equation of the same parabola. All right, and the last question here, it looks like we know what the x-intercepts are of this. We also know what the vertex is, and we know a point on the line. You have lots of choices here, but since this is all about vertex form, I know that the vertex is sitting at 4, -2. So vertex is at 4, -2. That means that h equals 4, k equals -2. I also know that the point 6, 6, so x equals 6, y equals 6. So y equals x minus 4 squared minus 2. And when y equals 6, x equals 6. I could have used one of the two x-intercepts as well as my x and y. Bring the 2 over, that's 4 equals a times 2 squared. So 4 equals 4a, divide both sides by 4, a equals 1. So therefore y equals x minus 4 squared minus 2. This says, determine the equation of the parabola in vertex form, then change it to standard and factored. Okay, well, I know that the zeros of this thing are at 3 and 5. So the a value is equal to 1, so y would equal x minus 3, x minus 5. And then in standard form, now before I go ahead and do this, I'm going to do standard form from vertex form. So if we have vertex form, y equals x minus 4 squared minus 2. Remember, that means x minus 4 times x minus 4 minus 2. We have to expand this out. Remember, we talked about the word FOIL, front. So front, whoops, there's no U in front, front, outside, inside, last. So x times x is x squared. Outside is minus 4x. Inside is minus 4x. Last is 16. And then minus 2 on the end gives us x squared minus 8x. And 16 minus 2 is plus 14. All right, so there's something wrong here. X minus 4 squared minus 2. It says plus 16 minus 2 is plus 14. Y equals x minus 3 times x minus 5 equals x squared minus 8x plus 15. Uh-oh. There's something wrong. Okay, I know this is right. Oh, you know what? This is where the mistake is. 6, 6. When y is 6. Oh, here's the mistake. Right there. That should be an 8. I knew there was something wrong. Divide both sides by 4. A is equal to 2. Alright, so that means there's a 2 here and there's a 2 here. Okay, this is going to work out now. That leaves a 2 there. There's still a 2 here. Glad I caught that mistake. All right, so that equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus 2. This 2 is not being multiplied by negative 2. The 2 is only being multiplied in this bracket. But you have to expand the bracket before you can multiply the 2 through. So then that becomes 2x squared minus 16x plus 32 minus 2, which equals 2x squared minus 16x plus 30. Okay, there's standard form going from vertex form. This still has a 2 out in front of it over here. That still needs to be multiplied by 2, which gives you 2x squared minus 16x plus 30. Okay, that makes more sense. All right. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please ask. Here's your homework here. And that's about it. We'll talk to you later.